Hi, my name is Martin Fahn, and I'm a field CTO here for North America at CalLogic Software. And in this demonstration, we're going to be talking about cross-account and cross-cluster restores of your Kubernetes applications using Cloud Casa. So as an example, let's say I have two Amazon EKS clusters. Cluster A, which I'm running on the East Coast, and Cluster B on the West Coast, and I manage them with separate accounts in AWS. Each cluster has access to its own unique storage classes on which it stores its persistent volume data. So if I'm protecting the contents of my application in cluster A, I want to be able to easily restore that data to cluster B while making customizations to the naming conventions or mapping to a new storage class available in my target cluster when restoring my persistent volumes. And I can do so very easily through Cloud Casa. With this in mind, let's go ahead and jump into the demonstration. Before we jump into Cloud Casa, let me show you around my environment. What I have here are two Kubernetes clusters that I'm managing with separate accounts on AWS, and you can see that I'm connected to each in a separate console window on my Windows desktop. My source cluster here being identified by the hot pink color and my target cluster being identified by the neon yellow cluster residing on the West Coast. And I have different storage classes defined to each of them. As you can see, two storage classes on my source cluster containing both a CSI storage class and an EBS storage class as well. And on my target, I just have the EBS storage class here that gets provisioned by default when I created my Amazon EKS cluster. So here in my source cluster, this is the cluster that I want to back up. The application that we're interested in today is my WordPress application, which resides in my test website namespace. And this has persistent volume data that's hosted on my CSI storage class. What I want to do is back up that data and from the East Coast and restore that data to the target cluster on the West Coast using a valid storage class defined to that cluster, which is in this case the EBS GP2 storage class. Jumping over to my Cloud Casa UI, the first thing I'll need to do is register both clusters into Cloud Casa. And I can do so by simply adding the Amazon account to my Cloud Casa configuration and creating the CloudFormation stack to tie the Cloud Casa server to my Amazon Web Services. Now we've changed the UI up a bit since the previous version, so to do this, just go into the Configuration tab and under Cloud Accounts, you'll click on Add Cloud Account. And from here, you can click on the Launch Stack button to bring up the CloudFormation console wizard. And from here, you can authenticate against your user. I think I already have a cache session token here. But what I just need to ensure down here is that my option parameters for this role, that role is able to manage EKS clusters, able to take EBS volume snapshots in, if applicable, able to manage RDS databases as well. So at the very bottom here, I can click on the Acknowledge checkbox and go ahead and create the stack.